I have been working on my stage fright over the last few months, and I've ended up with this 5-point strategy of how to beat them. This is part 1, and I hope it helps you. So there I was, stood in front of the class with a microphone in my hand, ready to go, and suddenly I had this massive attack of nerves. I've never felt anything like it in my life. Well, I probably have, but it was a very long time ago and I've forgotten. I don't get drum nerves anymore, I don't get bass nerves anymore, I only seem to get singing nerves. It's been fascinating. Now, it was a horrible couple of minutes, I tell you, trying to get through that song. And I spent ages afterwards trying to figure out why it was. And it's been fascinating. I mean, really interesting. I've done loads of research. I've ended up with some long-term strategies and a few short-term, like on-the-night tricks that you can use. And I've kind of ended up in, there's 5 strategies basically. Now, like all magic potions, when you brew them together, they work a heck of a lot better. But I think that they will do some good on their own. So stay tuned. Before we get to strategy 1, don't you press that button. You need to hear this bit. This is important. I wouldn't put it in if it wasn't now, would I? You do need to realise that nerves are normal. I mean, they really are. Exams, job interviews, gigs, they're high pressure environments. They're difficult situations. They will make you nervous. If you're not nervous, you might argue that there's something wrong, actually. And we'll maybe talk about that when we get to the mental states flow model bit in strategy 2. But anyway, so they're normal. If you're feeling nervous all the time, if you're feeling anxious but not about anything in particular, there's a possibility that you're suffering from a thing called generalised anxiety disorder. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I don't really want to go there. I want you to scroll down and click on the NHS link I've put there. Have a read of that, and if that describes you better than I've got a gig tomorrow night and I'm a bit nervous about it, then I don't know if this video will help you or not. I can't imagine it will do you any harm, but I don't know. Up to you. Alright, okay, so let's get into strategy 1. The first part of my solving this problem was a lot of internet-based research. So I kept Googling what are the causes of anxiety, and I came up with stuff like this list here that's on the screen. Now, this list here, if you look down it, they all have something in common. They all have this trend. And the trend is, they're all about your perception. They're all about how you think things are rather than how things actually are. And let me give you a really simple example. One of them on there is downplaying personal assets, which is a posh way of saying you think you're rubbish when you're not. So let's imagine that you're actually this good, but you think you're this good. Okay, that's the first thing. Combine that with another one of them, overestimation of the opinion of others. You think that the audience want you to be this good. You think they care this much as well. And let's face it, they probably don't. They're there just to have a good time. They're not really focused on every single move you make. So you've decided that not only is their opinion that you need to be this good, but their opinion is really important. And that their opinion matters. So they put the audience up here and you're down here. So the gap here, the jump, the difference between how good you are and how good the audience need you to be and how much that matters to them is huge. And that's going to make you anxious, isn't it? Obviously. Oh, I'm terrible and they want me to be amazing. Oh, I'm going to let them down. It's obvious. But actually, you're this good. And actually, they don't care that much. And actually, they don't mind if you're not that good. Most non-musicians, they don't know what you're doing up there. And one of the experiences I've had a lot when I've been doing this how to beat anxiety stuff is people saying to me, oh, you're not nervous, when I am, which proves that they can't tell. So this is your perception, but this is the reality. And if you can recognise the reality, there isn't as much of a problem there. Okay, so look at that list again. We have here you not being aware of what is really going on. So we've got to change that, right? How are we going to change that? Well, it's easy really, but you're probably not going to like it. We need to realign your perception with the reality. We need to get you from here to here. We need to get you to see what is really going on, right? So this is what you're going to do. you're going to get a bit of paper and a pen and you're going to write down all your strengths and all your weaknesses. Don't worry about how long each list is, just go for it. It is important that you write down your strengths and not just your weaknesses, because that's a source of motivation. And as time goes by and you do this exercise again, you'll see that some of those weaknesses have appeared on the strengths list, and so that helps you feel like you're getting somewhere. Anyway, then you're going to video your practice. Like, do from the beginning to the end. Include the warm-up. Like, the first thing you should do is turn on the camera and then just let it run and do what you normally do. Then, after a bit of time's gone by, watch back and write the list again. But this time you're not basing your list on how you feel, you're supposed to be basing it on observation. What can I see that I am doing well? What can I see that I'm not? Okay, so you've got a list, a video, and a list. Excellent. Now comes the clever bit. First of all, you can see whether your first list is accurate or not. Are you actually weak at that, or are you actually good at it? Is there a strength there but it's not really coming across? So you can start to realign your perceptions with reality, and that's what we're trying to do. Now, it's possible that when you watch your video back, and I know that's not very a comfortable experience, but anyway, when you watch your video back, you might be a lot worse than you thought you were. Well, fine, now you know what to work on it, get better. When you feel like you've got better at all those things, do the process again. Fingers crossed you'll be all right. If you're suffering from anxiety around performance, the chances are it will be better than you think it would be. In other words, your perception was here and the reality is there. And the idea is that by seeing, oh, actually, I'm not that bad. Actually, I can do that song better than I thought. That will give you confidence. Just that mere fact will give you confidence. When you're sat in front of the audience about to play, you can think back to that video and go, no, I'm not as bad at this as I think I am. And that will give you confidence in the moment as well. I think another little thing that happened when I first started doing this was I became nervous when I turned the camera on. And that surprised me a little bit. I thought, well, there's no one watching it. It's only me going to watch it. And I knew that. But it still made me nervous. So the first stage of me getting better at performing while nervous and getting over the nerves was just to put the camera on every single practice until I got used to it. And that's like being watched by someone. It's not exactly the same, but it triggered the same reaction in me it might do in you. So you can keep doing it to yourself until it gets easy, and then you won't be quite so nervous. Little baby step right there. I suppose it is possible that when you watch your video back, it's exactly as good as you thought it would be, in which case, I guess you need to move on to strategy 2. See you soon. Lastly, we have to look at the compound effect, the effect of doing this multiple times, because I think most of my strategies work more the more you do them. So the first time you do this, those lists will probably be wildly different and you'll get a pleasant surprise when you watch the video. That's my prediction. The second time you do it, maybe a month later, the two lists shouldn't be so different because you've brought your perception in line with reality, especially if you've watched a few other videos along the way. You should have seen some of the weaknesses from the first practice become strengths. You should be much more aware of what you are actually doing. And therefore you won't book a gig that you're not ready for, and you won't expect yourself to go out and play and make no mistakes at all. Because if you can't do that in practice, you're not going to do it under the pressure of a gig. So you can let yourself off the hook a little bit. Right, thanks for watching. I hope that's helpful. Strategy 2 next week. See you soon.